Hey everybody, welcome to D&D Part 10. Please let me know what you think of the video and the stories in the comments. Thanks.
PC rolls a nat 1 on animal handling. Wins horse race on foot. I remember a time at school where one of my PCs was in a horse race. Halvard Eriksson, the human barbarian, had a tiny horse. So tiny that it was almost comical for him to ride it. So I get him to roll animal handling. Nat 1. He gets flung off. He then proceeds to fucking pick up this tiny ass horse and start running. He was eagle totem, so he could move at a whopping 120 feet per round, the same as the horses. The other racers were so surprised that they crashed into the barriers. Halvard proceeds to win the fucking race on foot. When your backstory comes back to haunt you. TLDR, my DM crafted an interesting and dangerous character around 2 lines of backstory. When she and our party warlock began speaking about me using Dream, I left a room to keep myself in the dark about it. I'm reeling from a particularly good roleplay session and want to give props to my DM, who is the kind of person who will take a few lines of backstory and turn it into something that could turn the tides of our current campaign. I wrote a Fey Witch into my ranger Morza's backstory, who once manipulated her into a blood tribute that created an ongoing connection between the two of them over the last 25 years. The witch has since 1. Been found conspiring with a violent giant lord we were working against, 2. Defected to our party, 3. Has shown great interest in breaking into the veil of a dragon that our kobold artificer worships, along with the rest of his airship's crew. Long story short, the witch managed to ensorcel the kobold captain of our ship into potentially serving her. He gets stabbed by the artificer.
I'm sorry, friend, but you can't serve her and our dragon.
Then revived with our party warlock's spare the dying spell to break the spell, while Morza and the witch argue.
I did everything you wanted. Why won't you let me have this one thing?
A person isn't a thing.
Yes, it is.
The witch then shapeshifts into a fish and escapes. My ranger, guilt-ridden that her past has caused harm to another, continues to nurse the captain to health while our PC warlock, unbeknownst to everyone else, enters the witch's dreams to talk. The witch tries to strike a bargain with him. Apparently Morza has inadvertently been carrying an amulet that prevents her dreams from being invaded, which the witch wants off, in exchange for teaching the warlock a powerful sigil. At the moment in the session where my DM is playing this woman and begins to mention my character, my heart actually started pounding and I say, I feel like I shouldn't be hearing this right now, and left the room. Though I really wanted to hear this interaction, I felt it would be best that the 2 warlocks had a chance to speak candidly, especially if our PC lock did decide to take her up on our offer and somehow lure me to the witch. I figured it would be more exciting that I was completely unaware. That was at the end of our session, and our characters haven't had much of a chance to discuss exactly what this dream encounter means for us. I'm super excited to see what happens and just overall impressed at this very sudden development that we all just sort of jumped into. My unluckiest player just had his first epic moment. One of my players have been playing a power-hungry tiefling shadow sorcerer, very shoot first, ask questions later. They've been going through a dungeon and the tiefling has gone down once already because of his attitude. No healer, so he only has a couple of healing potions worth of HP when they make it to the boss of the dungeon. The warlock tries to chat with the boss, who is an old business partner, while the druid scopes out the room as a mouse. Our tiefling faces down a half-orc wizard minion of the boss, who, unbeknownst to the players, has been a disappointment and was one mistake from being killed. The boss stays silent, more to stress out the wizard minion, and the wizard prepares to cast. Tiefling wins initiative and calls a scorching ray at each shoulder and a knee, crits the left shoulder, blowing it off. So now the wizard is on one knee and missing an arm. Deciding not to cast mage armor, he goes for a level 5 fireball that only hits the tiefling. You should have aimed for the head. Tiefling fails the save, but takes half damage due to resistance, still goes down. Or so I thought. He had an ability that would let him stay alive with 1 HP if he passed a difficult con save. Nat 20. The fire dissipates, revealing the tiefling still standing. Thanks for the advice. His next turn he walks up, grabs his head, and shocking grasps, causing the wizard to use his own half-orc racial ability to stay alive at 1 hit point, and proceeds to self-destruct with another level 5 fireball, now able to hit everyone since his target got closer. Tiefling is knocked out and rolls a nat 1 on his first death save before someone can get a potion in him. This player had the worst luck of the group. On top of that, his character's attitude kept getting him in trouble. I stopped pulling my punches as a DM weeks ago and was prepared to kill a PC if it came to it. I'm still sure it'll be him, but through it all, time after time, he survives. I can't wait to see what that emotionally broken one-handed half-demon orphan ultimately makes of himself. my school's D&D club. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So last year, a friend of mine who I've played with many times before and the school librarian started an after-school D&D club. I was initially pretty psyched for this considering our librarian is super cool and pitched in dice, books, and any other materials we would need to play. Mind you, I still had my own player's handbook and dice at the time, but it gave me the impression that this wouldn't be some ramshackle group of buddies playing Tyranny of Dragons in the seminar room. This is a recognized school club and naturally there were generous turnouts for at least the first few meetings, and a lot of newbies. Let me preface this by saying I think it's great that 5e has attracted so many new players, the more the merrier. But the new players for this club were seemingly the most socially inept and degenerate kids in the school. Something about the aspect of carving out your own adventure lured the especially weird kids out of their holes, and that was seemingly the one aspect of the game they would fixate on. It was one thing to see the new girl flaunting her drow robe like she discovered the Holy Grail or something, but I'm talking about the guys who seemingly forget they're playing a game with rules and you just kinda show up to force shenanigans upon our poor DMs. Kids like Chef. Chef is a kid who is going on to second year in the club, and if the president of the club had any right to kick him out, it would have been done a long time ago. Everybody knows him to be a seriously socially deprived kid who says all kinds of nasty shit to get attention. For instance, he's currently in my photography class, and while we were in the pitch dark developing film, he began singing incredibly sexual Prince songs, phoning in awful Bill Skarsgård Pennywise impressions, and even throwing in a couple awful school shooting and suicide jokes. I don't know how he hasn't been suspended. Chef's only goal in D&D is to play a chef. While I had the displeasure for DMing for him, he hadn't searched for any homebrew material and his character sheet was 90% blank. I'm pretty sure if he laid eyes on a PHB, his skin would start to burn and blister like a vampire in sunlight. He claimed to be a fighter, but literally took nothing from the fighter proficiencies, equipment, or feats. I doubt he actually put ability scores down or even settled on a race. He didn't even have a backstory, at least not one that was apparent to anyone at the table. I tried helping him with his character, but he got incredibly sheepish when I looked at his sheet, as if he wrote naughty sex fantasies about me on it and didn't want me to find out. He insisted on being a chef and being useless, and those are his words, not mine. DMing for this guy was like pulling teeth. He basically had no input on anything at all, and just sat there looking confused. He claimed to have played before, but seemed so unfamiliar with what a game of D&D actually looked like that the expression on his face had subtle hints of fear mixed in with dumbfounded vacancy. Chef has returned this year with the exact same character concept, and I pray for whichever one of my friends has to deal with this crap. However, not every bad player to arrive contributes nothing. In fact, a running issue in the club are newbies who have basically no interest in playing D&D as advertised and just want to watch the table burn. Kids who pry their DMs for the rights to laser weapons, powered armor, and grenades. Kids who don't really have a character ideas other than kicking ass and laying waste to everything they pass. Kids who seemingly don't care about setting or immersion and just want to fight big monsters and destroy them as savagely as possible. I DM'd for one kid who wanted to be a lizard folk named Vladimir Lenin. The lizard folk was actually supposed to have a head of a crocodile, which made no difference to anything at all and was just a strange request, and he insisted that he not play a healer before I even spoke a word to him, which in retrospect I find poetic considering how little help he was to anyone. I didn't get so much as a "hey man" from him. It felt like talking to a 4-year-old. He was super protective of whatever insane idea he wanted to use, that idea being he wanted to play a barbarian and wreck shit. He entered the tavern not by opening the door, but charging at the brick wall until it caved. He entered a bar crawl with javelins drawn, and tried to murder everyone involved. When guards showed up, he tried to kill them too. When he got arrested, he was so bummed out that he outright quit the game. I was going to free him not 10 minutes later. There are many players like this one, and I despise them. I can't expect everyone to take literal fun in games seriously, but at what point are we just playing pretend and telling a goofy story? I think my time in the club gave me mild anxiety and I had to quit before I lost my mind trying to cope with these awful players, among others. I didn't bother to rejoin this year, but I know there's a Christmas one-off run by the librarian that might be worth looking into, just so I can play with my good friends who still frequent the club. I seriously envy their patience because I know I'm not the only one who has to deal with clueless newbies who just want to wreak imaginary havoc. It's just another thorn in everybody's collective side that probably isn't going away soon.
Big thanks to everybody who made it to the end of the video. I really hope that nobody notices that I actually record these in sections due to nerves. If you liked the video, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, all that sort of stuff. And if you want to, leave a comment, that would be great. And also consider joining our Discord. There's over 500 people on it, chatting away all things Dungeons and Dragons and just general chit chat. And thanks again.